Okay, so today we are going to be learning more about solving inequalities. Now, an inequality just means that you have a greater than sign, less than sign, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And when you're solving inequalities, the rules are still the same as if this was a normal equal sign, except in one or two cases. Now, if you look right here, I'm trying to get x by itself. I would subtract 2 from each side, and then I've got x is greater than or equal to 6. So that rule hasn't changed. And when we did this other little piece of paper yesterday, this was to prove that it's actually okay for us to add, so or in this case, subtract the same number from both sides of an inequality. It would still stay true. For the other one, if I added 7 to each side, that gave me x is less than or equal to 12, okay? Which, if you look at our paper from yesterday, when we added the same number to both sides of an inequality, that made it stay true. And then if I have 2x divided, 2x like this, that means that they are multiplied together. I would divide both sides by 2, and I've got x is greater than or equal to a -4. So it's okay to divide by a positive number. What we discovered yesterday is that if we divide, which is right here, we divide both sides by a +2, we still end up with a true statement, so there's no need for us to change the inequality sign at all. Even though that number's negative, it doesn't matter. The 2 is the one that we divided by. It was positive, so the sign stays the same. But here's the last case. When you've got a -3 attached to your x, you would divide both sides by -3, and this is the case where we divided by a negative number, and if you look back here, we divided by a negative number. That created something that is not true. So when you divide by a negative number like this, that's when you're going to take the inequality sign and flip it around. So guys, if that inequality sign has a line underneath it, it will still have a line underneath it. If you had it without the line, you're never going to add that in. All right, so let's get some more practice solving these equations. I'm going to do the odds with you, and then you are responsible for taking care of the evens. And the number 2, the even number that comes right after the one I'm doing with you, is worked very, very similar. So this is a two-step problem. If I'm the K, the -2 is the boyfriend-girlfriend, the +4 is the friend. You get rid of the friend first by doing opposite operations. It was +4, so we subtract 4. Now we've got -2k is greater than -14. -10 minus 4 is -14. Now the -2 is attached to my letter K, so to finish solving the problem, I divide both sides by -2, and I've got K being compared to a +7. Now we divided by a negative number, so this greater than sign needs to flip around, and we've got K is less than 7. Number 3. Now if I told you to solve for P on this problem, we've actually got 2 of them, which tells me that I need to combine like terms because they are on the same side of that inequality sign. So when you are combining like terms, you're adding them. 5 plus +4 gives me 9, so we've got 9p. You still have the -2, so bring that down, is less than or equal to 16. So we did combine like terms. Now we've got a two-step equation. If we're trying to solve for P, that makes the -2 the friend. So I would add 2 to each side and get 9p is less than or equal to 18. The 9 is attached to that letter P, so to finish the problem, I divide both sides by 9, and I've got P is less than or equal to 2. I did not flip my inequality sign this time because we divided by a +9, not a -9. All right, go up to number 5. So this problem, I see some parentheses in here, and if you need this, the don't call me after dark, you can still always use that. The first D stands for distribute, so I'm going to multiply. I've got 15. That's not touching the parentheses, so it moves down. -3 times 2x is -6x, and -3 times +4 is -12. Everything else just stays like it is. Now I'm going to pause for a second, because when we distributed, we were multiplying by a negative number. Do we flip the sign? The answer is actually no. The only time that you flip the inequality sign is if you multiply or divide by a negative number to both sides of the inequality. When you distribute, you're only doing that on one side, so it does not count. It has to happen to both sides. So we're going to say no because we did not multiply both sides of the inequality. And you may want to pause the video to be able to finish writing that. And you do need to have that written down as part of your grade. All right, so as after we distribute, the next thing is to combine like terms. So on this side, I've got 15 and negative 12. Remember that when you are combining, you are actually adding. So I've got 15 plus a negative 12. That's positive 3. So now we've got 3. I still have the minus 6x, so I'm going to bring that down. And this is greater than 27. Okay. So I distributed, I combined like terms, move all of my letters to the left. Well, my only letter in this problem is already on the left, so I don't have to do that. Now we've got to add or subtract the friend and then divide. So if I'm getting x by itself, that makes the positive 3 the friend. Because it's positive, I would subtract it from both sides of that inequality sign. Now 3 minus 3 is 0, and watch out for this negative sign. It actually comes down with the 6. And 27 minus 3 gives me 24. Now, one more step. I'm dividing both sides by the negative 6 that is attached to my x. It is a negative number that we are dividing by, so we are going to flip our inequality sign. So x is less than negative 4. Divided by a negative number, we flipped that inequality sign. Okay, number 7. Draw in your line. I'm solving for A, but in this problem I see parentheses, so I'm going to write this over to the side. Don't call me after dark. Okay. The first D stands for distribute. 2A is not touching the parentheses, so it's not distributed, but the negative sign is, which means negative 1. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And negative 1 times negative 4a becomes positive 4a. You need to make sure that you have that a on there. That's one of the biggest errors that we make. So I distributed. Now I've got to combine like terms. So 2a plus 4a gives me 6a. I still have the minus 3, and this is less than 15. So we distributed, we combined like terms. All of our letters are already on the right, so that step's gone. Now we've just got a two-step problem. If I'm trying to get a by itself, that makes negative 3 the friend. So I would add 3 to each side and get 6a is less than 18. One more step, because a is not completely by itself. Divide both sides by 6, and we've got a is less than 3. Now, we did not have to flip that inequality sign because we divided by a positive number, a positive 6. Look at number 9. Okay, so as this is one of those problems that does have the same letter on both sides of that inequality sign. If I'm thinking don't call me after dark, there's no parentheses in this problem. I don't distribute. I don't see any like terms over here or over here, so that's done. But I do need to move all of my letters to the left side of that inequality sign. Now 4b is already on the left, but 2b isn't. And because it's positive, we are going to subtract 2b from each side of the inequality sign. 4b minus 2b is 2b, and you still have minus 8 is less than or equal to. Those 2b's cancel and leave you with that positive 6. So now we've moved all of our variables to the other side. Now it's a two-step problem. So to get b by itself, I'm going to start by adding the friend, plus 8 to each side. So that gives us 2b is less than or equal to 14. 8 plus 6 on the other side gave me 14. One more step to finish getting that b by itself. Divide both sides by 2, and we've got b is less than or equal to positive 7. No need to flip the inequality sign because we divided by a positive 2. Let's get some more practice. Drawing in your line through the inequality sign. So don't call me after dark. The first D stands for distribute. I don't have to distribute anything on the left, but on the right, 2 times 1k is 2k, and 2 times positive 3 is positive 6. So the first thing you do is distribute, then combine like terms. I don't see any like terms on the left or on the right, so that step's done. But I do need to move all of my letters over to the left. It's a positive 2k, so I'm going to subtract 2k from each side. Now 5k's minus 2k's leaves me with 3k's. Minus the 3 is greater than positive 6. Those canceled. Now that I've had all of my variables move over to the left, I've got a two-step problem. We're going to start by adding the friend, so plus 3 to each side makes that 3k is greater than 9. One final step, I divide both sides by 3, and it's a positive 3, so there's no reason to flip our inequality sign. It would stay a greater than sign. Last problem, number 13. This one's a little bit longer, so I am going to draw that line in, and let's do the don't call me after dark. Okay, so first step tells us to distribute. 8a moves down, but negative 2 is touching the parentheses, so I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 3a to get negative 6a's. And negative 2 times another negative 4 gives me a positive 8. I do not flip the inequality sign even though we just multiplied by a negative number because it only happened to that side. Now the other side, I'm multiplying 3 times 4a, that's 12a, and 3 times positive 2 is positive 6, and don't forget about the negative 18. You need to make sure that you bring that one down too. So that was distribute. The next step is to combine like terms. So 8a and negative 6a combine together to give us 2a plus 8 is greater than or equal to. And on the other side, I only have one a term, but I do have a couple of constants that can go together. And remember, when you combine like terms, you're adding. So it's 6 plus negative 18, that's negative 12. All right, so that was combine like terms. Now we've got to move all of our letters to the left. Now I've got a positive 12a, so I'm going to subtract it in order to move it over. Now 2a minus 12a is negative 10a, plus 8 is greater than or equal to. Cancel those out, and you've got negative 12. So now that I've moved all of my variables over to the left, it is a two-step equation. So I subtract the friend, minus 8 to each side. Positive 8 minus 8 is 0, and we still have negative 10a over on the left. On the right, negative 12 minus 8 more gives me negative 20. So I do have one more step to finish getting the a by itself. Divide both sides by negative 10. So I'm comparing a to 2. Now I divided by a negative number, so my greater than sign needs to flip around, and now it's a less than or equal to sign. Now what you need to do is go back and finish all of the even problems.